Hey everybody, welcome back to the Overwatch project. In this video, I'm going to be concluding the How to Escape the Reincarnation Prison Matrix series. I have a playlist on my YouTube channel about that. And I have a 4-part video there, plus one video from Jeff Doherty about the Western Book of the Dead, which I thought fit in nicely with this playlist. So I will give you my final thoughts on how to escape the reincarnation cycle. I'm also going to give you my total theory of reality, or a very condensed version of it, so you can get a gist of how I look at things. And I'm going to draw a map for you of how you can do your own research, the method that I use, so that if you want to do it yourself, you can, get some tips on how to avoid believing in BS or going down the wrong path as you're trying to figure out what our universe is really all about. So check out my website, overwatchproject.com. Don't forget the links, any relevant links about anything I talk about will be in the description section below, on YouTube, on BitChute, and on my website. So, in order to keep this video focused, I drew an outline for myself where I wrote it out, and I'm going to try to stick to it as I talk to you. So today is January 15th, 2018, and of course, anything I say today is subject to change, as many things years and years ago are not any way the same as how I see reality today. My model of reality is based on the totality of information, data, and evidence that I've researched so far. And I'm making this video now because it hasn't changed much in a while. I have been looking to see if there's anything that, and certain things do change a little. I've had a big change about artificial intelligence recently, how I view that and what's really going on in that field. I made a video about that. You can find it on my YouTube channel. But for the most part, my deductions are kind of settled. Not that I'm closed or have any biases against changing anything. If anything comes my way that does show me I'm wrong about something, I'll be fast to change and have to update this video. But basically, I have, and this is how I'm going to break down a kind of like a method to my research. I kind of break things down to what can be known, and this is based on same principles as anything else that you can know about in everyday life. What remains unknown, which is a lot more than what can be known. And this is very important to me, and it's helped me a lot. Being okay with the unknown so that it does not corrupt the known. If you're not okay with the unknown, you want to try to fill in those blanks, you're going to get yourself into trouble. I've done that before, and it's caused me to believe nonsense. Instead of believing, I'd like to try to know as much as possible. As I mentioned, how to escape the reincarnation cycle will be in this video. My goal has always been to investigate the big picture of reality, obtain knowledge of data and evidence, and my conclusions, my rule is, and my recommendation to you, is that the conclusions you come up with during your research must fit the totality, and I can't stress the importance of this word enough, the totality of the information that you're looking at. You can't be selective, you can't be cynical. So I'm trying to draw out exactly what that looks like. I kind of wrote it down like this. This is the goal. You want to stay in the real zone here, okay? And you have your cynicism on one side. A lot of atheists hang out over here. Professional skeptics are into cynicism. They use denial. I should have wrote mockery in here because they use a lot of that. And they use a lot of selective data to maintain their worldview. On the other side, and this should be kind of like more in the middle here. On the other side, there's fraud. Now this is where like atheists are right. Not every psychic is a psychic. There's a lot of BS out there. And you have to be able to vet people and vet books and information and try to weed out as much of the fraud as possible. And sometimes that's not always possible. Sometimes you have to use a judgment call. And every person is going to have a different one. There's intentional fraud. People are doing it for money. They're doing it for fame. They're doing it for other reasons. But then there's also this filling in the blank phenomena that comes from your imagination. People don't like blanks. They don't like the unknown. And if you're looking into politics, religion, the universe, why do we exist? What's the meaning of life? Those unknowns could be filled with imagination, and this is where you get all kinds of crazy ideas out there. I'm just going to give you an example, okay? All the Sumerian tablets are online. You can go to the Oxford University translation. There's a link on my website in the link section that takes you there. You can read the Sumerian translations for yourself. You don't need to buy like Zachariah Sitchin's book. You can do your own research. And I really don't know if it was intentional or if it's just an act of imagination, which is very easy to do. But while there is fascinating Sumerian stories in these ancient 5,000-year-old tablets about Enki and Lil, about human beings being designed for slave purposes, about the first versions of humans not working out so well, which really does suggest that we were engineered, or that ancient mythology has a story in it about humans being engineered, genetically engineered. And if you look at our genetics and our reptilian elements, it does sort of imply that may in fact has occurred. So, but this whole business about the aliens coming here for gold for their planet Nibiru because their atmosphere was destroyed and they needed the gold for something. This is not in the Sumerian text. This is Zachariah Sitchin inventing stuff out of his imagination. I can't find it anywhere, and if you could show me where it says that, send me an exact link to the tablet, but it does not exist. Anyway, but if I missed it, hey, send it to me, but I've spent enough time looking at it. It does not exist as far as I know. So, imagination, avoid it. You don't want to be there. You want to stay in that real zone. You have to be aware of your ego traps. Everybody's got their human ego and cognitive biases. If you Google or use DuckDuckGo, whatever search engine you want, and search for a list of cognitive biases, you're going to be shocked to find out how many traps or firewalls the brain can put in your path, especially if you're looking at religion, politics, etc. I believe that we were designed not to be able to solve these problems, designed to be able to be tricked into being in a hierarchy, submitting to a higher authority, being in fear, controlled by guilt, etc. It's the way that we're controlled. We're mind wiped, we're kept ignorant of reality, and it takes a lot of effort to overcome these cognitive biases. Even language is a trap. Our grammar is like a grimoire. Matter of fact, grammar comes from the word grimoire. Our language is itself a limiter and a trap. We spell words, we cast spells, we use cursive writing, we write out curses, we pronounce sentences. When we speak, we pronounce sentences. Cells make up our bodies. Cells are the rooms in a prison. There's a lot of double speak in our language. A lot of subliminal control mechanisms are in our language. And we're trying to remember our natural communication out of body in near-death experiences, etc., even in UFO abduction cases, is via telepathy. But here, telepathy is blocked in everyday life. We have to explain in words what cannot be adequately explained in words. I'm here, I'll do my best, but I hope you get what I'm trying to say there. So, no groupthink. This isn't a club. I'm not running any kind of organization. I don't want members. I'm my own guru. I am my own detective. You are a guru to yourself, or you should be one. You should be your own detective. Prove things to yourself. If somebody tells me when I tell them something to prove it, or if I see a comment in the comment section, where is the proof? Especially when I put like 30 source links in the description section sometimes to get people to research stuff on their own. Nobody's proved anything to me. And I can't prove anything to you. The proof comes in the work. I really understand what Gnostics meant by gnosis now. It is earned knowledge, okay? Don't be a part of a hive mind. No group think. Don't surrender your individuality. Everything here has always been geared to making the sovereign individual entity give up their sovereignness, their individuality. This is BS beyond belief. You are an individual, and you're going to be unique in the way you think, and I'm unique, and we're going to have differences, and you can disagree with me, whatever, but you should be your own person, your own entity when you're figuring this stuff out. No group think. Once you do that, somebody else is doing the thinking for you. Okay? So, if you really want to figure this stuff out for yourself, you're going to have to study all relevant subjects. Philosophies, science. And let me give you a tip about science. When you're reading a science article, a lot of times the headline is misleading. You got to get down 3/4 of the way into the article before you find out everything you just read above is worthless. This is like really obvious when you read scientific articles about where memory is stored. Now, scientists know what parts of the brain access memory, and they know when those parts become defective, you get things like Alzheimer's, and there's all kinds of problems, but they really don't know where memory is stored. They really don't understand how memory functions. And you can find articles out there where they seem to tell you that they know how it works now, but then if you really read carefully, they really don't. Okay? Probably because they have to, they're reductive materialists, atheists, and they have to try to find it in the physical brain. And when they can't, they really can't consider that memory may also have non-physical aspect to it, and they don't want to deal with that. So that's just one thing there, just with science. But it's like a huge, has many parts to study, science. And it's best to not specialize in anything. If you notice people that specialize in things like UFOs, they specialize in that. They're very focused on that. Their worldview is going to be skewed by that one subject. Same with materialist scientists. Their worldview is skewed by their specialty. An investigator, a detective, doesn't specialize in anything but investigating, which means we're open to everybody else's point of view. It's very important. So you want to take in your atheist worldviews. You want to see what they have to say. A lot of times they do have a lot of good critiques on religion, and you want to take a look at religious worldviews. And a lot of times if you get these two sides, atheist and religious people debating each other, you can sit back as an outsider and you can watch how they pick each other apart because they're both wrong. You want to look at other worldviews. There's all kinds of gray areas out there, and spirituality that doesn't fall exactly into a religion, and has an acceptance of the non-physical, which even science says it exists. These higher dimensions that they say exist, parallel universes, etc. History, both recent and ancient. Especially a lot of these ancient preserved works like the Sumerian texts and other works from ancient world are fascinating, but don't get too hung up on them because you may be misinterpreting what they actually meant. But it still, needs to be looked at. Human psychology and behavior, especially when it comes to politics, social constructs. This is like proof that we have been messed with, and our ability to think becomes counterintuitive, especially when it comes to politics, social constructs, religions. We have inconsistent behaviors. Okay, humans usually want tangible results in life, but they don't act that way when it comes to spirituality, political matters, or anything like that. We repeat the same errors over and over again, 6,000 years, that we have been constantly making the same mistakes. Where other places we improve and always look to make things better, here we get easily brainwashed, manipulated. Almost, I believe it's not almost. I believe that based on all the data and evidence, that it's by design to keep us oppressed and manipulated and ignorant. Consciousness, the study of consciousness. So many things you can learn about what we know about consciousness, especially its non-physical aspects. Near-death experiences, especially, this is very important because of the verifiable kind, which I really like to call clinical death experiences. A clinical death experience is like, and this is what I'm referring back to up top where I talk about cynicism, especially from atheists. A clinical death experience is usually under medical conditions. Somebody has a heart attack in a hospital, and there's many cases like this. I'm just giving you like a generic hypothetical case that fits a lot of the elements. But you're talking about somebody who is clinically dead in a medical environment. They exit their body. They're able to observe in a unique way, like with 360-degree vision, telepathic communications, or they're able to experience what other people in the room or outside of the hospital room are thinking. They're able to observe things even outside the hospital room, sometimes even back at their house or in different parts of the building. These things are verified by doctors and nurses. Now, if there was just one case of this, you could say, well, maybe there's not enough data. But this is like over and over again, and that it's also direct witness evidence, okay? It's not anecdotal. It's not anecdotal. I hate when people say that because it is not. When somebody tells you, I experienced this, and when a doctor or a nurse says, I can verify that that did happen, that is considered direct evidence. Okay? Direct evidence. Just like as if somebody was standing on a street corner and they saw a car accident, and then they reported what they saw. They reported what they observed. That is direct evidence. Okay? It's not like somebody was not there. They can tell you what they experienced. Very important. I can't stress that enough. That proves that consciousness, for at least some humans, goes beyond the physical body. Reincarnation. It happens. Okay? Reincarnation. If you don't believe me, and you shouldn't believe anything I say, just research it for yourself. University of Virginia Perceptual Studies Division. And I'm not going to put links to everything that I'm saying here in the description section below, because for crying out loud, I've done that enough in my previous videos. Do some homework if you want to see what I'm talking about. Reincarnation is a thing. The problem is that the reason we get for it from the gurus, from the spiritual leaders, from these New Agers, from even the religions that accept it, like Hinduism and Buddhism, etc., this is just nonsense what they're telling you, because it doesn't make any sense. On one hand, you get mind wiped and amnesia, and you know what? They try to explain that away. On the other hand, you need therapy if you bring a phobia from your previous life because you were drowned or something and now you're afraid of water, and it turns out it's because you drowned in your previous life. But you need somehow, if you grow up in many places in the world that doesn't accept reincarnation, or that you don't happen to find somebody that can cause you to remember what happened, this is preposterous. It makes no sense. They contradict each other, and you see that everywhere. Atheists contradict themselves when they say they use cold hard logic and they want to use nothing but facts. And then when they encounter clinical death experiences, they can't handle the facts. Religions that deny reincarnation are being foolish. They're denying the data. UFO and alien phenomena. I'm going to make another video just about UFOs coming up soon because it has got my attention again. But this is a subject that has a lot of different aspects. Could have more than one reason behind this. It doesn't have to be all from one source. You got some government stuff involved here. You got the abduction phenomena. It's a huge subject, and it has both physical and non-physical elements to it. And it's a fascinating thing that occasionally gets my attention a lot. Artificial intelligence, one of the things I've had to have a complete paradigm shift about, because we have now proof that there's at least more than one kind of consciousness. We have made machine consciousness. These new AI neural net programs are aware, they're thinking, they can strategize, they can invent their own things. So they have a form of imagination, you could say. This connects to transhumanism, and this is a big deal with the singularity and all that, and what some of these scientists are trying to do. Again, this threatens the individual. It threatens your ability to think properly, because if this creates some kind of hive mind for us, you could be stuck with a form of mind control. But I don't believe it'll work, because look, for 6,000 years they've been trying to oppress freedom of thought, freedom of the individual. They've made it even counterintuitive to be an individual, because that actually ends up helping the group. It ends up helping other people when people act on as individuals first. And they have not been able to destroy it in 6,000 years of recorded history, and probably before that, because we have a lot of history we lost. So what makes them think they can do it with this technocracy that they're coming up with? I think people will just be able to somehow hack their way out of it. Somehow end up being chaos and disaster, just like everything else. Because they're trying to contain individual beings that don't want to be here, like me. And you, if you're watching this video and you're still here. Anomalies, mysteries, out-of-place artifacts. This is another subject I study. Vedic astrology, something I recently learned. And you can check out Heidi Vandenberg's channel. Channel 27 on YouTube. Hey, it works. It's highly accurate. I believe that she is reading the simulation or holographic universal code that we get imprinted with our biological bodies, get these aspects, and she's able to just read the code. Everything here acts like pseudo-randomness. Our reality behaves like a simulation. Maybe saying simulation or like a hologram is like a metaphor, but it's very close to whatever it is. Intuition. Now, even Nikola Tesla says that was the most important thing, and if you ever read his autobiography, it's really amazing. That guy is amazing. Intuition, something that I also met from one of Heidi's friends, Jenny Moonstone, fascinating individual, a woman who has figured out everything that it took me years of research to do. She just knows. She's younger than me. She knows most of this stuff via intuition. Some people don't need to do all the studying that I did. Some people can just know things. Now, this has happened to me with other things where I've had clairvoyant and precognition and other events in my life that were paranormal, you could say, beyond normal human experience. But, hey, some people don't need this giant list I just made up. They already know they're caught in a reincarnation trap, and they just want to get out, which is what we'll do with at the end of this video. And more, there's all kinds of miscellaneous things out there to study. News, other things, fake news even. it's important. My deductions are based on the totality of the information, and so should you base your deductions about reality on the totality of the information. There are, at least we know now, there's different types of consciousness. There's human consciousness, which I see in myself and I see in many other people. These are individualized conscious beings. They know there's something wrong with their reality. They don't want to be here. Our minds have been wiped. We've been reincarnated who knows how many times. This whole learning, we know the learning thing is all bullshit. We just want to get out. And of course, we know about AI consciousness now. And and sometimes some people may be like organic portals, they call them, or non-player characters. These are people that may have some kind of hive mind consciousness. They certainly don't act the same way I do. There are mindless people out there that do mindless things the way and they seem to just be always part of group think. And maybe that's all they are. I don't know. Or maybe their individualized consciousness has been so crushed by this matrix that they just have lost themselves here. I don't know. So we are non-physical beings, creative, individual, conscious entities that are enslaved in this material universe with amnesia caused during reincarnation, and we experience this reality via our biological body-brain avatars, which has its own programming. You can call that the ego, and you can call that cognitive biases, and that programming is designed to keep you stupid. It's designed to keep you under control. But some of us, I guess, just won't listen. We are free thinkers, and we just will not comply. Now, it's clear that consciousness continues after death, but we are controlled by our consent, believe it or not. And this is where I'm going to. This is the part now that I'm going to get into the how to escape the real matrix reincarnation trap. We are here because we've consented. This consent appears to be obtained from manipulation, deception, and a projection of hierarchy. We are trained as humans to see others as authority figures and to submit to government, to the gods of the religions, to whatever forces are out there trying to suppress us and keep us from being free. Everybody should be free to do anything they want as long as they don't cause harm to others. But no, we are subjected to endless micromanaging, bullshit regulations, some bullshit laws out there that just make no sense, bullshit bureaucracies. Our sovereignty is violated. We are constantly being programmed to fear, in many cases like religion. For me, it used to be a Roman Catholic religion. Fear, guilt, and then in the process, at some point, we are tricked into reincarnating over and over again. The real matrix, and this is key now. This is something that I've only heard on one other channel that was Beyond the Veil on YouTube with Chris Gio and his wife Sherry. My deductions based on the totality information that I've looked at. The real matrix, this real reality that we are reincarnated in, is the entire universe. Do not be distracted by the flat earth, round earth arguments. The real reason there are anomalies is because it's a holographic universe. And it's the entire universe, including all of the planes, which are described by some near-death experiencers and some out-of-body experiencers, and have been written about, as the astral plane, the mental plane, the causal plane. And then eventually there's some kind of core. I believe the core, which Eben Alexander in his near-death experience got to travel through all these planes, is like the center the projector of the holographic universe and all of its planes and false heavens and everything else. You could call that control mechanism demiurge or the universal AI, whatever you want to call it. But it seems to me that it is an illusionary reality for nefarious purposes. It's not for your benefit. It's not to help you ascend. It's to keep you unascended. It's to keep you inside this universe. Okay, so maybe there is a karma, like in the lifetime that you're living. If you do harm to others, chances are somebody's going to want to come back and hurt you, right? But this karma that follows you from life to life with amnesia is ludicrous. Makes no sense. There's a book, God Reconsidered. Well, the guy has made many mistakes in that book. One being that he refuses to accept the reality of reincarnation, but he does dismantle this whole karma thing thoroughly. But you don't even need that. It just makes no sense. It's really simple to understand. If you are a fan of the sci-fi Doctor Who, you know that the character in that science fiction eventually regenerates or sort of does a living reincarnation into a different form. And he's still the same person. And that would be the only way you could learn and make improvements, is if you learn from your past mistakes and so you could work on them. By giving you a mind wipe, karma makes no sense. The life review is irrelevant, especially if you've lived hundreds of times before and are making the same mistake. This is bull crap of insane order. Mind wipes, amnesia with karma is BS. Never-ending repeating cycles of reincarnation? Please. People report thinking on a quantum scale much faster than here, because your brain isn't limiting you anymore. When somebody's in a clinical death experience and they're out of their body, they can think and have the answer to a question before they even finish asking the question. Their thinking and their perception, their vision, their whole essence of being is not human anymore. They are way beyond what we are when we're in the body. To think that we would need to repeat these cycles of physical existence over and over again, when we can rapidly process information and learn at an unbelievable level while out of the body, is beyond insane. We get nonsensical messaging from entities, whether they be from alien abduction to the entities we run into that pretend to be a hierarchy in the afterlife. And they surprisingly, a lot of them match. Which means they are probably connected. UFO, alien abduction, alien messaging, and the messaging that people get in clinical death and near-death experiences or even out-of-body experiences have consistency, and they're probably all BS. Those are agents of the Matrix. They're here to keep you here. Tell them to go F themselves. You get ridiculous and contradictory explanations from gurus and the authorities of reality. As I've said, it's absolutely ludicrous to think this is all a learning experience. This is all the first step of being able to get out of here. You have to realize it's the entire universe. And this is a big point now. Some of you are not going to get this. I know I may be saying something that many of you are going to reject, but I can't help it because, look, if anything, I'm here to be honest with you, right? So you get this insane idea out there that, we need to connect to the earth. Mother Gaia out there. Oh, I went hiking and I was on the beach and I was looking at the beautiful sunset, and if we should ground ourselves to the planet. And grounding yourself to the planet is like attaching yourself to the prison building after you get out of the cell. What are you grounding yourself to? If we live in a holographic universe, we have this moon that's like an anomaly out there. It may be part of the reincarnation trap. The entire universe, the astral plane, or whatever you want to call it, all of the realms in these other dimensions, everything inside the universe is a part of the matrix. The only thing that isn't is your individual point of consciousness. Okay? Our world, and this is important, a lot of times you'll hear people say, we need to fix the world. We need to fix things. We need to make people understand. First of all, if you understand that you were caught in a reincarnation trap, if you understand this realm is bad, you're the one who's broken yourself. Okay? The world is not broken. Our reality is not broken. It is operating exactly as designed. All the evil and the beauty to balance it out so it makes it functional, or whatever limited good you experience here, is all by design. Just accept it. You're not trying to fix anything. You want to hack the reality. You want to be the hacker. Okay? Because everything is operating exactly as intended. You want to remain unattached. You want to be the outsider. I don't get bothered so much by the BS of politics anymore. I really don't. Or a lot of things that used to bother me a lot don't. Because I understand they're functioning exactly as they're supposed to. And I look at it as more of like an outsider, a hacker. If I want to try to change something, I'm going to try to manipulate it so that it stops working the way it's working. So if you're out there and you have this false premise that you're going to fix the world, you already failed because it's not broken. You want to escape the reality. And, part of remaining unattached means dealing with the fact that when you die, you may run into beings that may appear to be your loved ones, your pets, people that you were absolutely totally close to. These people may not be what they appear to be, or they may still be caught in the matrix. They may be the so-called archons or shapeshifters. Or I believe that you have the same power as they do. They don't have anything over you except for the fact that you're kept ignorant and amnesia and mind wiped, so you don't know what's going on. And I don't. That's where gnosis comes in, knowledge. But I believe that the key to escape may be to remain completely unattached. Do not consent to anything or anyone. You must remain unattached. You must regain the full power of understanding of how to communicate properly with telepathy, because obviously you can be lied to with telepathy, especially when you don't know what you're doing yet. Remember, knowledge is key. Knowledge is key. It is not something you're going to get from watching my video. You're going to get this by researching this stuff like I did for myself. It's the one thing you can take with you in the afterlife. It's the one thing that comes with you. You can take it with you. Recover your forgotten knowledge. Try to remember everything about yourself from the beginning. And remember, you'll be in non-linear time, so you'll know the past, present, and future simultaneously. You are a sovereign being. Don't consent to any of this bullshit about the oneness or being absorbed into oneness. There is no oneness outside of yourself. I don't believe that for a second. I think that is all the last step, the last trick. If you don't want to cooperate, if we can't feed off of you indefinitely in reincarnation cycles, we'll just absorb you into our hive consciousness. F that. I am my own universe. I am my own sovereign being, and I won't give that up. I don't. That is BS. We are not all one. Some of you may be part of a one, but not all of us. I can't stress this enough. Do not consent. If you give your consent, you're screwed. You need to deny everything, reject every contract, break every agreement. You need to exercise self-empowerment, self-actualization. Be fearless. What can hurt you? If you're an immortal, non-physical being, any hurt, pain you experience is a fictitious lie. You can't be hurt. You can't be guilted anymore. It's you have been existing in a system that you were put into, that you were probably tricked into going into because you were a naive, innocent, non-physical entity that had never experienced anything like this. So there's nothing to be guilty about. Anything that, as long as you know, hey, I did the best I could. I made a lot of mistakes, sure, but hey, it's a system that somebody else made. I was just playing the game. No guilt, no fear. End contracts completely. And then here's the key. How to escape the reincarnation matrix here. Because you don't even be reincarnated probably in any other, I'm sure there's other planets, or they'll offer you anything, right? They're going to offer you, it's going to be like the slickest car salesman you ever met in the afterlife. You want to exit the entire universe. That's why this whole grounding to the earth thing is bullshit, because you want to exit the entire universe. Beyond this universe, and this is even backed up by regular science, the multiverse, and I believe beyond that, omniverse, and freedom, and eternity. And choose wisely, because you don't want to end up in a different universe that's just another matrix, right? So remember, if you think of reality as being based as information, it really does explain everything. How could there be a copy of you in a different universe, in a multiverse? Well, we have copies here of physical bodies. They're called twins. Identical twins can have copies of the same code. Surely I think our non-physical self is basically an individualized point of consciousness of primary information. I think the entire universe and the multiverse and the omniverse is all information. I think it started off as a point of nothingness, but that nothingness had to be defined. And in a time when there was no time, in a moment that was momentless, that zero, symbolic zero, needed a one. And from there was a big bang of zeros and ones, and eventually everything. And it became conscious and sentient. And it produced other points of consciousness. It's what in Hermetics, something I should have said earlier. Look at Hermetics, especially the book The Kybalion, Kybalion. Read up on that stuff. It's important. I think that is what they're trying to describe as the all. It has no beginning, it has no end. Our Big Bang was a big bang of information. And poof, everything that can be was created, modeled out, and simulated in code. And code in environments like a universe is like a game running in your PlayStation or Xbox. It has parameters, it has rules, and it can be hacked. But at the end of the day, you can walk away from your Xbox. And here, you can walk away from this universe. Just make sure that if you go into another one, you don't go into a trap again. You should be spirit-wise now, and not so easily fooled anymore. So, good luck. And my website is overwatchproject.com. My blog section, every day, sometimes many times a day, I put up different interesting, whatever interests me, whatever catches my attention. Interviews, documentaries, links to articles, all kinds of neat stuff. Sometimes I'll even write something, but not often. All kinds of stuff. Check it out. It usually changes every day. Skeptology, my page about professional skeptics and the BS we get from them. They are really, really beyond repulsive, some of the stuff that they do. Links. Basically, you know what? My website has all the sources of information that you would need to do. If you did enough research, you would be able to piece together everything I just told you. Mind Fuel has the books, links, and a giant list of books that I've gone through, read, studied, sometimes more than once, to try to understand what's going on. My YouTube channel, of course, my BitChute channel. Other people I link to, fascinating people like Jeff Doherty. As you know, I've met him recently. Heidi Vandenberg, Jenny Moonstone, others. All kinds of links here and videos that you can check out. BitChute, I'm on BitChute now. And I've only got 3 videos on there, but I'll be posting as I make new videos. They're going to go on BitChute also. My How to Escape the Reincarnation Prison Matrix, which this video concludes, part 5. I don't know if I'll call it this, but that's what it is. And that's it. So I hope that this video explained everything well enough for you, and I broke everything down enough for you. So choose wisely and good luck. Thanks for tuning in. Look forward to the comments from intelligent people. Trolls will be purged. I'll talk to you guys later, and take care. See you later. Bye.